It should be good, but yeah, let's just to be on the safe side.
Let's just do the right.
Yeah. God damn it, dude. That's not super helpful as a level. Hello and welcome to the Games That Made Us podcast. I'm Brent. I'm here with my friend Kirk. Say hi, Kirk.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Yay! And we're joined as always by our good friend Benny. Say hi, Benny.
Giving things... Oh, fuck.
What?
I got it wrong.
Oh. Sorry, buddy. Oh, how you doing, fellas?
Oh, not bad. I enjoyed our riveting conversation about who is the bigger piece of shit in Lord of the Flies, but,
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, what about you, man?
How am I?
Yes.
Also struggling with the same problem, but I think that fewer people should have made it out alive.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best thing for everybody is just if they would all died in the crash.
Like Lost.
Yeah.
I fucking hated
Spoiler
that show.
alert, 25 years ago.
Just like Lost, we all would have been better off if the creators had died in a plane crash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And then that fucking Star Trek movie wouldn't exist. That'd be a better world.
Which one?
The newer ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the fucking other guy from...
I really like Into Darkness, though.
I like Chris
Really?
Pine as Captain Kirk. I think he's a very
I do.
convincing Captain Kirk.
I don't like the one after that. I think the one that follows Into Darkness is trash.
You mean you don't like the one where they used the Beastie Boys in a Star Trek movie?
That was the first one.
No, that's the third one.
No, that's the first one they used the Beastie Boys.
They used the
song.
Beastie Boys in the car scene in the first movie. Oh my God. I know way too much about this fucking thing. Yeah, but in the third one, the fucking Enterprise like blasts Beastie Boys music, and that's how they defeat the fucking enemies.
Oh, well, thank God I haven't watched it.
There's the sexy German girl with the white face. And yeah.
There's a lot I don't like about the third film.
There's a lot I don't like about what Brent just said there.
Just describing the movie, I think, explains all you need to do.
German girl with the white face? Fucking
Well, she's supposed to be an alien, and they paint her like stark white. Not like you white, like white.
We're all white here. What are you talking about?
Well, like, not...
What
Like-
am I a
like
different,
ghost-
like...
No,
tone of
He's
white?
talking about
Us,
like priming
yes.
a wall white. Like,
Yes, like the color of the
okay.
table.
Okay.
And then she's got, like, black things on it. Like, she's...
like there's something wrong with your skin white.
There's-
if it's on you.
Yeah. She looks like a squirrel in Iowa. There's a deep cut.
What does that even mean?
I'm real
There's
confused.
There's white fur squirrels up there.
20-some episodes was enough.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Yeah, we did it about a year. Games Amanda signing off.
Signing off.
Signing off forever.
Spoiler alert, Piggy was the biggest piece of shit in Lord of the Flies.
We're gonna go make some pumpkin pie now.
Yeah.
In nothing but aprons.
Pie.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Wait, to the pie or to the nothing but aprons?
All of it. All of
Yes.
it.
That's
Yes.
fair.
I'm hungry. I should have grabbed some soup. That's my fault.
There's.
I'll get it later.
Did you know that my roommate in college had a tendency to put on nothing but an apron and then go cook in our kitchen, and I would just like walk into the living room and just see his bare ass.
Were you grateful?
I don't have to answer that.
Yeah. That is totally a James thing to do,
Yeah.
though.
You're like, what do you feel like you're being like? Is this entrapment right now?
He worked at Starbucks for like, I don't know, a week, and so he had a Starbucks apron. And yeah, and he would wear that and then, make paper.
So he was that meme before that meme existed.
Yeah.
No, his very existence is just like...
James lives on a different earthly plane. than the
Yeah,
rest
he's
of
like in a
us.
whole other dimension.
Yeah.
He's ascended from mere mortality.
This is true. Yes, that's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
What were we doing? Podcasts. That's what we were talking about.
I think we talk about video games sometimes.
I can't recall that. I don't know that that's true. Let's talk about our favorite kinds of pie.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah. Benny?
Not me first. Go for Kirk.
Kirk.
I'm pretty sure I know his answer.
I have two.
Okay.
Preferably strawberry rhubarb or blueberry.
I do like rhubarb.
There is blueberry rhubarb. I have had that, and it's as wonderful as it sounds.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
With like
The wife used to like specially order a blueberry rhubarb pie for me on my birthday. It was like the sweetest thing ever.
It's the act or the pie?
Sure.
Okay. Serious question. Crumble topping or top layer of pastry?
Either one.
Okay.
I'm usually so distracted by the
filling.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Sticky.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the pie, though. What?
Yeah.
Because I think
American Pie.
Shut up.
It's a fucking the pie reference.
There's a reference.
Yeah. But no. Okay. All right. Benny.
So my favorite fruit is cherries.
Hell yeah.
But I don't like plain cherry pie by itself as much as I like mixed fruit, like pies with cherries mixed in.
Yeah.
It's like rhubarb cherry or even like apple cherry is actually a really good combination, although you don't find it very often.
Yeah. I bet texturally that's pretty good too.
Yeah. And I don't like baking very much, so I don't get that very much. I
am the exact same way when it comes to cherry. Like cherry pie, it's like, but I love cherries.
And I like pumpkin pie too.
The big problem I have with cherry pie is that very frequently they don't use tart enough cherries. And so then it just becomes like a uniform sweet, like candy sweetness. And I want some like contrast there. I want some acid.
I sometimes think that the pre-mixed like canned cherry filling that you can buy is like the appropriate amount of tart, but like it's so preserved that it loses the cherry flavor. So like it's really hard to get that right.
And it's hard in this part of the Midwest to get good tart cherries. Like if we were a little further north and east, that would be easier.
Or even west. Like I've had a good Rainier cherry pie before, and that's really good too. But.
Absolutely. So for me, it's sweet potato, and like specifically, like to me, a good sweet potato pie needs a little bit of dark rum, like mixed in with the filling, and that like molasses back note.
So going back to the crumbly bit, on a sweet potato pie, it's got to have like that crumbly like brown sugar on top of it. For me.
Yeah. No, I don't hate it. I normally when I make sweet potato pie, I treat it the same way as pumpkin, so I just leave it like the custard on top is just the top of it. But I'd love to do like a Dutch apple.
Yes,
like
do
top.
that. You will not be disappointed because the brown sugar works really well with the sweet potato. Yes,
potatoes.
It works very well. Yeah.
Okay, this is happening.
And whipped cream. Whipped cream's good.
I don't like whipped cream.
I think, well, it works, but yeah.
Like just like the canned whipped cream, or just like any, like even like good quality, like actual cream.
Yeah, I mean, like we keep cream around for a variety of reasons, and like that sounded more ominous than I meant it. But Aaron has made like from scratch, just whipped cream and like with a little vanilla and sugar in it, and it's better than from a can. I still don't like it. I don't like. It's a textural thing. I don't like how. I'm not a big fan of like suspensions in general. I don't.
Okay, so then instead of whipped cream on the sweet potato pie with the crumbles, use condensed milk.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get that extra kind of sugary sweetness.
Yeah.
On top of the already fucking brown sugar that's on it.
Yeah. Okay. So
would ice cream be good on that? Because
I love ice cream on pie.
I do too.
On sweet potato
but
pie,
on sweet
though,
potato pie, I've only
I don't
had
think
good.
so.
I've had bad sweet potato pie, but I've only had good sweet potato pie once.
I think for me the trick would be because sweet potato pie is not generally great warm. Pumpkin pie is but that textural difference, like sweet potato pie tends to feel weird, like it's got a weird mouthfeel when it's warm, and it's like sets up when it's cooler. And to me, if I'm gonna have
starchy,
kind of like a quiche almost.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's exactly what it is. And to me, like if I'm gonna have ice cream on pie, I like that we just like We dove into this so hard.
It's a Thanksgiving episode.
It is a Thanksgiving episode. Yeah. If I'm gonna have ice cream on pie, I want it to be warm pie. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would like a warm. I don't think I would like that enough to make the texture of warm sweet potato pie appealing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And plus, like I always like when the ice cream melts and like soaks up in the pie crust for the warm pie. Yeah, that's like the best part. Yeah. Then you take like the crust and even dip it in like the melted ice cream. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm really hungry now. God damn it.
And then the other one, even though I just said that I don't like super sweet things, but pecan pie is
No,
and that's one warm with some ice cream on.
We recently ordered dinner in, and I don't really like Cracker Barrel that much, but we ordered from Cracker Barrel recently because I wanted breakfast for dinner, and it was.
Did it taste like racism?
I mean, it tasted like old white people, so sort of.
Yes. But anyway, Cracker Barrel.
We went to Cracker because I wanted breakfast for dinner,
right? And Cracker Barrel is delicious.
Yeah.
I want to be honest.
I kind of
really
I kind of waffle on that. No pun intended about waffles. And we each ordered pie, and what the hell did I have? I can't even remember what I had. It was fine. It was a pie, and then I ate it. It wasn't particular. Oh no, it was a really mediocre apple pie with like the streusel crumble topping on it, and I was actually really underwhelmed. But Abby got a pecan pie with like a chocolate pecan pie, so it was like
Platte County pie,
huh?
Platte County pie. That's from here. That's from the Kansas City area. A chocolate pecan pie.
Well, Cracker Barrel just calls it chocolate pecan pie
because they're not from here.
Yes, this is correct.
I love your choice of words. So one of you is saying pecan, and the other one's saying pecan. So with me, like it's pecan pie, but individually it's pecan. Like if I'm describing the nut itself.
So I grew up only saying pecan, but that's what everyone it's like pecans are actually really common in New Mexico. Like there's a lot of orchards down there.
Yeah.
And that's just what I grew up hearing. In fact, I had family that owned some pecan, like family by marriage that owned some my aunt's marriage. And it doesn't. You don't fucking know me. Get out of here.
But
orchards.
it's the choice of word I always love, like caramel and caramel, and then or pop and soda. Like plural to me is soda, singular is pop.
But what you just said, I've heard that before too. That people only use pecan for pie, at least for some people. Yeah. But this one was Abby did not like it. She just wanted like pecan pie without any of like the other stuff.
Sure.
This just had big like dark chocolate chips in it. I liked it a lot. I ended up finishing it because that was really tasty.
Yeah.
So
I
guess that one's divisive, including the word.
So I grew up in Texas, so I'm like I'm gonna say pecan because that's what I grew up hearing. And I always my wife is from the Northeast, and so she always gives me shit every time I say pecan, and I'm like, all right, let me put it to you this way: where do pecans mostly grow? The South. If a Mexican told you how to say something that grew in Mexico, would you trust their pronunciation or would you make up your own? Because fuck them, the people who actually have the thing. It's like, pecans are mostly from the South. The people that grow them mostly say pecan. I didn't know about the New Mexico thing, but so I'm not going to tell her that.
But you may also know that like New Mexican English speakers, like I feel like I speak English like slightly differently, like I over enunciate things compared to like I do not have a Midwestern accent.
Right.
And New Mexican is like a very like clean over enunciated form of English. It's very weird.
Yeah.
I'm weird.
Well, we knew that.
I don't love me.
Oh, well, we love you.
Just what comes out of my mouth.
And goes into it.
No, that's usually pretty cool.
Oh man.
Should we?
Okay, we love Benny anyways, and then it immediately triggered the picture. One of the earliest pictures I have of Benny was when you're working at that bar, and you were a bouncer at that bar. Because I don't want to dox.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to be better about that.
You were just so young. I think you were probably like 18, 19, and you still had hair and everything. So when you're just like, we love you anyways, I'm just like, Oh shit! Like we were kids once. Oh,
I started there when I was 21.
I was 21.
I was like 5 months into being 21.
But even in the picture,
So
you do, like for all of our
long
fans,
ago.
like he's doing kind of like one of the Doctor Evil kind of things, but you're doing it with your index finger. You're like
Oh yeah,
in the picture. And he's
yeah.
That's excellent. God. Okay. All right. One more thing, and then we'll talk about our actual episode, which is related. It's related. What is okay? Thanksgiving. What's the like thing that has to be on the table that you'll be disappointed if it's not? Other than pie.
So, I think Thanksgiving is actually changing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've heard time and time again that a lot of people are actually deviating away from having turkey.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, why the fuck are we making a turkey? Like, we don't even like turkey that much.
Yeah.
Fucking let's do brisket or burnt ends or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Something awesome.
Yeah.
Especially where we
So,
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
So
lot of barbecue
it's
around
kind of hard to answer that question when it's already changing. Like,
Yeah. Well, I'm saying for you personally, like, and it doesn't have to be the main, like.
well, shit, then probably the pie thing we were already
Yeah,
talking about.
all right,
Yeah,
all right,
like I
fair
would say,
enough.
like if there's not a pie, I'm gonna be a little disappointed, or
Yeah.
at least like or stuffing probably. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuffing
Yeah.
is so variable. Like I like really like plain like store-bought stuffing can be really underwhelming.
I like all stuffing.
Good homemade stuffing can be especially elevated.
Yeah.
But for me it's actually green bean casserole.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was going to be
That's-
mine too.
That's another one where you can really phone it in though, and it's kind of like mediocre. It's still good, but you can also like really do it up and make it excellent.
So
As long
one,
as you get the onion chips on top, you're fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 year, so I always make stuffing from scratch, and usually I make the bread, let it stale, and then cube it up, and then make the custard and the whole thing, right? And so that winds up being, other than the main, winds up being the thing that I put the most work into. But 1 year I was like, I do all this work on the stuffing, and I do all this work on the turkey, and I do all this work on these other sides, and then green bean casserole, I always just can of condensed mushroom soup,
Yeah.
green
Yep,
beans,
yep.
and the fryers
French-
or whatever, French
French onion.
French
Yep.
onions. And I'm like, I should try and make it from scratch. So I made mushroom soup from scratch. I sliced breaded and fried onions.
Jesus.
And put it all together. And
Put on his polka dot dress and put
Yeah,
on his
yeah.
pearls.
exactly, it was like a what's the guy who did all the 50s homemaker fucking paintings? Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
Norman Rockwell.
Yeah, it was very Norman Rockwell. But no, so I probably, put a good 2-3 hours into making these green beans. And we put it on the table, we all got a scoop, and I was like, tastes like green bean casserole. Like, it really wasn't, it was a little less, artificial salty. Like, it didn't, suck the moisture out of your mouth in quite the same way that the other does. But I was like, this is in no way worth the effort. This tastes, honestly, if I was,
There are a couple things that are subtly different, but there's a couple things you can do to punch it up and change it around.
okay. It was one of those
I'll
things.
tell you offline so I don't give away my mother-in-law's secret to everybody,
okay.
but I'll give you one.
Okay. All right. No, that's fair enough. But yeah, it was one of those things where especially once it's all on the plate and you're just kind of shoveling stuff in, blindfolded, I probably couldn't have told the difference. And I'm like, dude, no, the stuffing is where it's at. The stuffing, the extra effort makes all the difference.
I guess at one time I'd probably say ambrosia. That's because it was always around every year.
Like the ambrosia salad?
Yes, yeah.
I've never
yeah.
had that.
Really?
Yeah.
How have you lived in the Midwest this long and not encountered ambrosia salad?
Because
Because it's not a thing that I was exposed to as a child.
Yeah.
It was only after moving to the Midwest.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
But I think that's more of an older generation thing that would do that. I just don't experience it as much anymore.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of missed it. I miss it now because I grew up with it.
childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that a little bit too.
My mom makes a fruit salad with a pudding mix in it that's probably very similar.
Oh yeah. That's basically
Probably.
ambrosia salad.
Yeah, and she uses the canned fruit cocktail.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and it's one of those things that I eat it and I'm like, this isn't objectively speaking good, but it makes me feel good inside.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so like it's just that nostalgia boner of like, yes, this is right.
I have come across friends that would probably say ham they would miss on Thanksgiving because a lot of people will have a turkey and a ham. And then a lot of even stores in this area will, if you buy a turkey, you get a ham. But to me, that's weird. For me, ham is like Christmas. Thank you. Thank you.
Ham has become more of a Thanksgiving thing for me since I got into the relationship that I'm now married into, actually. Because Abby's family does ham for both, but like consistently. What's yours, Brent? Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say the green bean casserole is the one that like I couldn't get away from. I do think it's funny. Okay, so my wife's family does turkey at Christmas, and it weirds me out. And I'm just like, nah, dude, that's not that. But like I've seen it.
It's really common.
I've seen it in movies and stuff, but I've never known anybody to do it until. And again, I wonder if it's like a regionalism thing because her family's from the Northeast.
Well, I mean, realistically, like if you look at Christmas Vacation, they have a turkey.
That's what they have, right?
They have they have a turkey for Christmas dinner, but now that I think about it, I never really. It's been a Christmas ham.
Yep,
but never a Christmas turkey.
In fact, my mom, when we moved up here, because a lot of the grocery stores have the turkey and ham together sale. My mom would always buy that, throw the ham in the freezer
for Christmas.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what we would do with it. Yeah. Okay, that's probably enough Thanksgiving food talk.
Yeah, what do we do here? Is this like a bus stop or?
Is this my leftist book club that I was promised to be involved in?
Oh, I thought I was in a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
I'll take your money.
Is this another one of our friends' like weird D&D games? I don't know. Starfinder or whatever.
Our characters are all podcasters.
Oh fuck, we should do that. Like if he's ever doing a one shot again, like we're just showing up as ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, so today we are in honor of...
what's the class for opinionated douchebag?
Bard.
Yes.
Bard.
Yeah. I like that it took about 3 seconds.
Human bard in specific.
Yeah. I don't know. I think elves are pretty fucking opinionated.
Half elf. There we go. Let's settle with half elf bard. Yeah.
Got it. Yep, we've got this. We got this figured out. So in honor of Thanksgiving, we are going to be talking about the games that we're thankful for. And we're just going to go around. We're each going to pick a game and talk a little bit about what it meant to us, why this time of year is kind of connected to it. If it is, if it's not, that's okay too. And just kind of talk about our emotional connections with the games. Do we have an established order of like who goes first?
Just point, man.
Okay, well, it was Kirk's idea, so he's going to go first.
Fine. All right. No, the game and on the games that made us podcast, like I think all of us could argue like these are games that did make us, but there are games that are very specific to potentially us as a person, but maybe not like as a whole a game that like made us collectively.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this podcast is, or this one in specific is kind of about, because I about know this one is going to raise a lot of eyebrows, and I'll argue it up and down. But the game I am thankful for is Final Fantasy VIII. A lot of people say, "Oh, Final Fantasy VII is the best game ever." Like, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Calm down.
It's actually got a lot of problems as a game.
Yeah.
There's some really heavy nostalgia goggles.
I get really irritated when people fucking treat Final Fantasy VII as like the end all be all of gameness.
Like, Yep.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, it really isn't.
No, but Final Fantasy VIII gets a lot of shit, and it's fine.
Yeah.
When it came out in 1999. I was in a particular age of my life where the game really latched onto me because I had a very hectic schedule. I mean, I was already in a essentially a broken house and having to fucking deal with a bitch stepmom and all this other thing, a whole other thing. But at the same time, like, I was waking up at the crack of dawn, and I'd have to do chores or whatever, and then I'd have to go to school. Then after school, I have to go to swim practice, and because I was part of the local high school varsity swim team and all that. And then after fucking swim practice, I would go to work from 7 to 10.
Right.
So then I'd get home at like 11 o'clock, and then find free time in there to do homework or play a video game, and then wake up at 5, 6 a.m. and do it all over again.
Jesus.
And then get fucking shit hammered on the weekends because apparently I was a boundless source of energy and I just made that happen somehow.
I am positive that every teenage boy has like a small amount of crack just living in the back of their brain.
Yep.
Like a small fusion reactor somewhere. In their core.
Exactly.
And obviously at certain points you don't have anything to do. Like maybe you just don't have any homework, or swim season doesn't go year round or whatever. Right. And even though I'd work like then 4 to 10 or whatever, I would find little blips and moments in time to find and play video games. Yeah. Final Fantasy VIII came out around that time, and in the game, a lot of the characters are that same age I was at. I mean, I think most of them are 17, 18 years old, graduating high school, but I was just right before that. I think one of the other characters, Selfie, is there... That was a name, not an action.
I was going to say,
I think
how times have changed.
I think, if I remember correctly, she was the youngest. She was like supposed to be 15 or 16, but still around the same age as all the characters.
So probably 12 in the Japanese version.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, it was a game that it happened to come out at the right time.
Yeah.
And hit me in the right way, and it was a very nice escape.
Yeah.
Away from the constant, having to do good in school, having to do chores, having to fucking do sports, and then having to work on top of all that, having literally no time to do anything. It was my escape from a reality that I rightfully didn't get to choose on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And with the characters being around the same age, I latched onto it a lot harder.
Yeah.
The game itself gets a lot of shit because it deviated away from the traditional MP system and went to what was called the draw system and the junction system, which even a lot of gamers are like, I don't know how this works. But I spent the time to master it, and I got really fucking good at it.
Yeah.
It still to this day, if I pick up the game and have to, at least I can communicate it in a way to my friends where I'm like, this is what this means. This is how this works.
Right.
This is how you abuse the shit out of it. I can make it work.
The junction system has one of like the deepest menu systems of any application I've ever encountered, and I work in IT.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I think is so funny is like when we talk about classical JRPGs, Final Fantasy, that series is always one of the very first things that gets brought up because it was one of the first ones to make an impact here. And it was just one of the first ones, full stop. Mm-hmm. But it's so funny because the like quote unquote like classical JRPG battle system is only in about half of the Final Fantasy games. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of them that operate differently, whether it's the job system games or you know what I mean? Like when you actually start counting down, well, like which Final Fantasies are like classic JRPGs, it's really only about half the series.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even Final Fantasy VIII, it was ATB to an extent, but you didn't know whose turn was coming up, if that makes any sense, or how many turns you could take. I mean, you could only take one turn back in that day, but it was once the ready bar was full, you could attack or not attack at any given moment.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter. Or skip, or whatever you want to do. But I remember coming home from either a swim meet or from work, and it's super late at night, and my brain's still wide awake, and just sitting there in the middle of nowhere, in a room in the middle of nowhere, and just needing an escape because I was I was very young and I had all these.
That'll come up again.
Yeah. It was like, is this my life kind of moment?
Yep.
Like that, and having to deal with all that as a growing man and trying to figure out and having to mature as a person.
Yep.
But being able to push all that aside and being able to dive into a game that, for whatever reason, this one in specific latched onto me, and just being able to escape all that and the anxiety and existential dread that kind of comes with it.
Yeah.
Was something I was really thankful for, especially with, even though my parents had divorced fucking 10 years prior, they've always been at each other's throats. I'm still convinced they are plotting to kill each other to this day. I am not kidding. My parents' divorce was so nasty, fucking Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa was using it as an example in one of their law classes back in the day.
God.
Wow.
And then not only that, my parents were getting pissed off because we were finding out all this information about their divorce. And they were getting mad at us. It's like, the shit is public. It's public record, right?
Right.
That pissed them off, and they were trying to change that to make it all like. It was that level of holy shit bad. Like, what the fuck happened? Were you guys like holding nuclear secrets for somebody? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Double agents.
Like, what horrible shit do you know about each other where you're going to this level of secrecy and just trying to keep us from knowing anything? Spoiler alert, they're both... Well, one of them's less shitty than the other, but they're both pretty bad people. Sorry, Mom, that includes you. I love you, but still.
This is why if your child says, I'm starting a podcast, you should listen, even if you're not interested.
No. It was just... I felt very lonely.
Yeah.
At this time in my life.
Sure.
I didn't have a lot of communication with my biological mother because I didn't agree with... Well, I mean, and not like an angsty teenager way, like, oh, I fucking don't like you.
Yeah.
No, like, I had a lot of problems with her philosophies on things. So I just did what I knew I had control of and just stopped talking. Stop visiting. Like, I have a car. I don't have to obey by your visitation rights.
Right.
That kind of shit. But at the same time... My biological father is a worse piece of shit. So I didn't really talk to him either for the most part. Like, I just kind of lived in the house and then was gone.
Right.
If the sun was out, I was gone.
Roommates more than anything.
Yeah, more roommates than anything. So it works both ways. But not feeling as lonely anymore is what this game made me feel.
Absolutely.
And I am very thankful for that.
Well, and I don't know if you've played it, Brent, but... I have played Final Fantasy. I actually haven't finished it, but I've gotten pretty far. The subject matter kind of lends itself to that too.
Yeah, they're all orphans. All of them.
And they're dealing with the it's a Final Fantasy game, so like we're dealing with like the fate of the world, but like we're dealing with like that same kind of existential dread.
Yeah.
And they're kind of dealing with their own like loneliness and development and abandonment by adoptive figures too. Their school, it starts out as like a school sim sort of, like they're in this school and then
starts out as Persona.
So, because all of them are orphans that basically live at this high school, and now they're graduating high school, but since they really have no home of their own, with the exception of like a couple of characters, they're kind of like, what do we do?
What's next?
Yeah.
Oh God. That's a perfect like teenage
It really
game.
is.
Yeah. Because there is so much of that anxiety about what comes next. I think that's something that we don't talk about enough culturally, is like if you're a smart kid, there's like a sword of Damocles holding like over your head all the way through your teenage years of like, what the fuck am I gonna do next? And am I gonna fail? You know what I mean?
Well, and your parents always feel like they have it figured out for you. So like you're thinking like, how am I going to figure this out? But there's but did you have a lot of like expectation or pressure to like do something? And it seemed like, no,
my parents were very much just like, I don't know, like, you're a smart kid, you'll figure stuff out. Like, which sounds great, but I felt so lost and like directionless and rudderless as a teenager, and especially like after I got into college, like after I graduated college, I was like, I have no fucking idea what to do next. And my parents would just be like, yeah, you'll figure it out. And it's like, well, what do you think? And it's like, I don't know. Like,
so I had a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
And I still felt like that. Like I still felt like I didn't have any idea what I was doing.
Sure.
So I felt like I was destined to fail and disappoint them. That was rough.
Yeah.
But that also is probably very artificially generated by our teenage brains, because I didn't realize, like, at least like the three of us, we all went to the same college.
Yeah.
And we were all in the same systems. Looking back, there were enough safety nets for success, at least academically, that, like, provided you could financially stay in college, you could definitely make your way out. Like, it was definitely feasible. It felt more intimidating then than it does in retrospect, for me at least. Yeah.
I was going to say, post-college graduation was extremely rough for me, to the point where I was, like, living on the street for a little bit. And, like, it was a fucking weird couple years. But that's not what we're talking about.
But going into it for Kirk,
no,
I get it.
But it was the game, and I'll finish this off by saying it was the game that taught me something I still live by to this day.
Yeah.
Love your friends.
Yep.
Tolerate your family should you choose. Like, anyone who knows me, like, if I play Destiny with you via Discord or whatever, or if I talk to you on the phone, a lot of people notice I will say I love you to my friends when I get off the phone, or we get done playing video games. I always say I love you, because I really do mean that.
Yep.
I don't always say that when I'm talking to family members. So,
well, and family by choice is important, and, like, being able to know who's in your corner.
That's what I love about the best games that we play, and the reason that this podcast even exists. Is that, like, well, for one, like, you were ahead of the game, like that like chosen family thing is, like, it's a thing now, you know, it's like a concept, like, that I think a lot of the older generation kind of resents, that they can become estranged because they didn't treat, they have some sort of entitlement to their kids.
That bullshit. Oh, you should always love your family. Like, no, if your family is a bunch of assholes, you should tell them they're assholes.
Right. You have to earn the right to be in someone's life, even if you spawned them.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I love that we can acknowledge this, and that even some of, maybe, like, my parents acknowledge that, like, what we're doing, like, the reason why these matter to us is because media influences who we are and how we form. And, like, I am different because of the games we played, at least equal to any of the books that I read or any movies that I watched. And, like, those exist because people wanted to express their views on the world. Yeah. So, like, they absolutely have impact on people. And so I guess what I'm saying is I really appreciate that. And I like knowing that. I've noticed that you tell us that you love us.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I appreciate knowing why now.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I even got some of my other friends to do it now too. If you know, a certain other friend now says it all the time, because he's come to that realization with his own.
I love that too.
Because he's become kind of estranged with his own mother and father, who he used to be very close with, but because of certain political landscapes, he doesn't even talk to them anymore. So now he's starting to say I love you to his friends, but not to his family.
Yeah.
So, little inside baseball on that.
Yeah, he did it. Nice. He did it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh, we didn't get it in the last episode, so thank you. Thank you. That's okay. Can I dovetail off of
you son of a bitch. You fucking if that wasn't on purpose, I'm gonna call you out on that. I'll kick the fucking chair from underneath you.
Can I dovetail off of Kirk's? Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's I love that, man, and, like, that's pretty much a lot of what you said about Final Fantasy VIII is going to be the same kind of stuff that I'm going to talk about mine, which is Ocarina of Time. I also grew up very rural, and I was homeschooled. So I just didn't have friends. I had some kids I knew, and I had some positive reactions, and I had some, well, he's the fucking weird homeschool kid interactions. And I mean, to be clear, I was fucking weird. I still am. Like, they were not wrong. They were just assholes.
I've been very vocal about that with our college interaction.
Yes.
When I first met. Like, it's very true. It's so true.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the isolation is not great for social intelligence.
Humans are social creatures by design.
And I had to kind of bootstrap my social intelligence pretty quickly in a pretty rough part of my life in early college when I had a lot of other shit going on.
Should I be a minister or not? You fucking weirdo.
And so I think I will get out of this very quickly, but one of the reasons why there's a significant number of games on this podcast that we're going to mention from our college years, because I think we'd be foolish to not acknowledge that, like, our formative years were still happening in college at that time.
Absolutely.
I think there's a cultural tendency to discount your late teens, early 20s in terms of like how important they are to like who you are and who you become.
Yeah.
Because obviously like 13, 14, 15, 16 are important years.
Get a job, you're an adult.
Right. And it's like, that's when you really have to like, because your early teen years are for deciding who you want to be. Your late teens and early 20s are for realizing who you actually are. And those aren't necessarily the same thing. And that disconnect can have some pretty substantial psychological and emotional hurdles to overcome.
Otherwise, we'd have people in their 20s failing desperately, wondering why they can't be astronauts.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
100%. That's wow.
That's fucking perfect. But yeah, so I was the, I don't know, the quintessential like nerdy, weird homeschool kid who didn't have a lot of friends.
It's very true.
Didn't.
But he's hot when he does it.
That's true. I was a sexy nerd.
And he doesn't have hair right now, so it's even hotter for me.
Sorry, Brett.
Just grease it up, see where it fits.
Sorry, I didn't mean I saw an opportunity how to do it.
I broke Benny.
Yeah, Benny's broken.
But sorry, man.
Try not to spray scotch everywhere.
That sounds like it could be related, actually. Anyway, where was I? Oh,
Ocarina
yeah.
of Time.
Fucking lonely, sad teenager. And I got my N64 in like 2000, 2001, way late at the tail end, right about the time the GameCube came out. And the N64, if you're not very familiar with it, has a terrible shit library of like 10 good games, like 50 terrible ones, and nothing else. And so I had this N64. There was a store in the like closest town of any size to us that sold used video games, and I picked up Ocarina because I remembered it at the Montgomery Wards in the N64 kiosk. And that game became an obsession with me. You know, I kind of had the opposite thing, right? Like you were talking about, Kirk, you were talking about like having so much pressing on your time and having to like steal away moments of recreation. I kind of had the opposite thing because my mom who was also my teacher, right, was kind of like, hey, here's the things we need to get accomplished this school year. Like, this is what you need to do to be like at or above level for your grade level. And I would just do it. Like we'd have all of the work lesson planned out for the whole year, and I would get it done in like a couple months. Because why the fuck not? Then I had like 8 months of summer, which was great, except I had nothing to fucking do. And Ocarina of Time became this like, I don't know, like virtual world for me to exist in. And one of the things that I think is really poignant about it, and why I think it, other than just it being of the right age of a game, for us millennials to talk about it as a formative game, is it's a game about, in many ways, kind of like a loss of innocence and a loss of childhood, right? The game has so many references. Like, if you pay close attention early on in the game, there's so many little side characters who are talking about, like, I'm going to be a real man, or like, what, like, I'm going to show everybody. And it hit me in a place that, in retrospect, of course, I would be really vulnerable to, which is this whole idea of, like, what does it mean to grow up? What does it mean to be a quote unquote real man? And yeah, it really, really sticks with me, and it became something that I returned to over and over and over again. In particular, I feel like that ending where Link winds up losing Navi, I remember the first time I finished the game and just like kind of just putting my head down in my hands and just like kind of just having this wave of melancholy sweep over me. And I was such a fucking little emo punk anyway, that all like the sadness that seeps into that game. Everybody loses everything. And I love too that Nintendo decided to just double the fuck down on that with Twilight Princess and be like, yeah, and you know what? That particular iteration of Link, yeah, he's a fucking ghost. Yeah. And he still has to like haunt this planet so he can train the next Link. And I'm like, you fucking assholes. What did he do to you? Like, and then in Majora's Mask, he's out trying to find Navi, and like, I don't know.
It's this softly bittersweet ending. And yeah, Majora's Mask is surprisingly heavy.
Yeah. Well, and just the fact that in Ocarina, just the fact that at the end, you've got this character who, again, doesn't have many friends, doesn't have many people who he really like has built strong relationships with. And then even those get ripped away from him because he gets sent back to be a child again. And all of his like progress and development gets torn away from him because he can't just walk up to Zelda in that timeline and be like, hey, we've known each other for years. No, we don't. You fucking creep. Get out of my castle. I'm going to have my dumbass guards who can't even fucking find you try and throw you out. It'll be hilarious.
It's very much that metaphor for growing up, where you're like, Link is thrust into a situation where he literally has to grow up. He is thrust into an adult body at that point to deal with.
Was he go from like 7 to 17 or
something like that?
Yep.
He's forced,
and you have to save the world, asshole. Good luck.
So he's forced to develop and deal with that, only to have all of his progress ripped away from him at the end.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the Something About Ocarina of Time YouTube animation
by Terminal Montage?
Yeah, Terminal Montage. It's great. He wakes up and he's like, "Hello, Link. I've kept you in ice for 7 years while Ganon took over the country unopposed. Oh, wait. I think I fucked this up."
Like, oh no.
It was your destiny to pick up the legendary Master Sword, but you were too young to tackle this journey. So I sealed your spirit away inside the sacred realm while Ganondorf took over everything unopposed. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Oh no. I think I messed up the prophecy.
It's okay though. We'll figure this out.
So are we back to the owl as the villain all along?
Still like the fucking canonically, the guy the sage that wakes you up, Raru, is
owl.
the same as Kaepora Gaebora. He's the owl, and I'm like, oh my god, he's a fucking evil genius. I think he set fucking Ganon on his path. I think this guy's like fucking trying to steal all 3 pieces of the Triforce for himself.
I always have the theory that he's trying to find a way to break the cycle, the original curse, which makes Link and Zelda to keep doing this over and over and over and over and over again.
I like
which I want to see how that would link back to, no pun intended, to Skyward Sword.
Yeah,
at like the beginning of the cycle.
Yeah, which also has the ugliest version of Raru with the giant eyebrows that like stick up like owl ears. He is upsetting to look at. He's got the pop eyes.
It's one of my least favorite of the entire series, even though it's not bad, but it's not my favorite.
I still like referring to him as Spoiler Owl.
Yeah, he's Spoiler Owl.
Spoiler Owl.
I will say Skyward Sword has one of my favorite versions of Zelda.
Yeah, because she's not helpless.
No, she's tough and smart and like capable, in some ways more capable than Link, which I think is part of the reason why I like Sheik and that version of Zelda in Ocarina, because what does a lonely, nerdy boy want more than a strong, tough ninja Manic Pixie Dream Girl to come fight monsters with him and in a leotard?
The modern equivalent of a big titty goth girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, important thing for our listeners, pre Big Titty Goth girlfriend, it was the Manic Pixie Dream Girl girlfriend.
Yeah,
that was that was the also known as Zoe Deschanel.
And we acknowledge that this is problematic.
Fuck,
but
I hate how accurate
and Natalie Portman in fucking Garden State.
We acknowledge that these are problematic, but we were there, and at the time we were just like, oh,
teenagers.
Yeah,
teenagers are not smart. They make bad decisions. But yeah, that game. It really helped me get through. I didn't have a particularly like tough or awful teenage years. My parents were together. They fought sometimes, but I mean that's pretty typical. It was again like lonely and nervous about the future, and those characters almost in a very real way became like my friends, which is why even to this day, like I'll boot it up. And when Saria comes and starts yelling at Link to get his ass out of bed and get down from that tree, I like big grin on my face every time. Like it always feels like kind of going home for whatever that's worth. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Man, it deals with a lot. It's got problems that have been pointed out over the years that I think that we could absolutely do an episode on this because I'm sure this game was really important to all 3 of us. Yeah. It was also really important to me.
Yeah.
But
because even like Link's best friend, what's her name?
Saria.
Yeah, like the rest of the world moves forward too. So when you run into Saria again,
she's still a child though.
But no, she's taller. She's not like the same.
Yeah, but she's still a Kokiri. Like she's still tiny.
So they age really slow, but still, like even she has aged, and it's just like, where the fuck have you been the past 7 years or whatever?
I love when you run into Mido again as a grown up,
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fucking bigger than you now, bitch.
Yeah, you just want to hold him down, step on his neck, and just start fucking taking his lunch money.
No, I want to turn him upside down and tickle him.
All right.
I'm not gonna dissect that one either.
Yeah, but with the
or apologize either.
Yeah, the game's kind of hand-holdy controls. It'd be like, all right, well, press B to tickle him. It's like, oh no,
press F to pay respects.
Yeah.
But I think it is an exceptionally good game, even with the problems that we can see in retrospect.
Yeah.
Controls are a little clunky because of the controller.
Just a touch. Yeah.
It's not the prettiest thing in the world, although that's the N64 for you.
Yeah. The 3DS version is much better looking.
Yeah, it's really dope.
For what that's worth.
Fair.
and solves a lot of control issues. But then you're playing it on a 3DS.
But it's a yeah. But I mean, it's an amazing game in its own right. So to be that good at what it's doing and then to have hit us at that right time, I see what you're talking about. We're talking about growing up, dealing with grief, fighting things, like fights that feel impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. That's all I have to say about it. Like I say, it's always I run through it probably once a year. Still, it's not a long game, so it's and it always feels good to revisit.
Now that we're adults, we know exactly how to get through the water temple.
And the fucking 3DS version color codes the floors, so it makes it a lot easier. Yep. I will say that was one at the time. I was always like, I mean, yeah, it's a little tricky, but it's not orders of magnitude more complicated than the other dungeons.
I kind of agree. I didn't know.
It's become a meme more than it actually is that much harder.
I didn't know that it would be that because I didn't know that people struggled with it like that.
The addition of one little extra cut take.
Yep.
It made all the difference in the world.
When you see that button or switch or whatever it is.
When that platform raises, it deliberately shows that hole underneath being exposed. Whereas then 64, terminal, exactly.
They do the same thing. Yeah, because they show him like running past it over and over and over again. I will say, the other thing they do in that terminal montage video is show you missing one key in Water Temple. That does always happen to me. I always forget where that last fucking key is.
You know what? The one thing that's hard for me in the Water Temple is the clam in that little tunnel.
Oh yeah, I just take damage there every time. Like
if you get lucky with a hook shot, you can grab his little innard bit and kill him quick. But
sure, yeah.
But that's the only part that I ever find difficult about that.
Yeah, it's not. Once you get used to Z targeting, which took me a while to get used to because it was one of the first like 3D action games I ever played,
and one that used targeting.
Yeah. Once you get used to that, it's not that challenging a game. If people nowadays running around playing fucking Elden Ring and shit are not going to have any trouble with Ocarina of Time. Yeah. Benny, what's your pick, man?
So I've talked about this game once on the podcast before, but I think it merits being here. Borderlands 2. It's one of those games that I go to, and I think I'm specifically thankful for having a game that is soothing, or that fills that space in my idle thoughts that can kind of take up something that otherwise might be spent on obsessing over a thought or spiraling out or whatever. Nothing was ever like truly like devastating to me, but like we all have those times in our lives, like where things are hard or you need something to help process. And at a point in my life in college, this game kind of filled that for me.
Absolutely.
And it is I think it's an appropriate title based on subject matter. The game deals with... Oh, sorry, I'm a little congested. Deals with...
Unacceptable.
I really wish I didn't have a biological sack to have to live in and I was just a creature of pure energy. But I haven't succeeded at making that migration yet. So.
I like your biological sack.
Aw.
Sorry. Kirk is now ominously applying chapstick. Okay. Sorry.
The game deals with on its surface is just a violent splatterfest of first-person shooter goodness with, they always marketed themselves as like having like the most random, like the most guns, like there's like millions of combinations. And they have like truly wacky, effects that like, the guns do all sorts of crazy things. I know Kirk's played. I don't know if you've played any of the Borderlands games.
Any of the Borderlands games.
They're super over the top. It's in a futuristic, like totally like not even our universe more than likely.
Kate Blanchett's in it, right?
I guess. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
The first game is kind of a hastily thrown together plot on a really solid shooter base and a lot of fun mechanics for the fight system. The second game has a really thoughtful plot, at least to my opinion. I'm sure someone has done a deep dive where that makes me sound like a Neanderthal that I like this plot, but I think it has a lot of maturity. It deals with some of the things we've talked about already. Growing up, dealing with grief, dealing with things that are beyond what you should have to deal with. Like it's got oddly poignant moments punctuated by hilarity and like comedy and over the top violence.
Yeah.
But I think those things work together. I think comedy and tragedy are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like and that old saying, like comedy is tragedy plus time.
Yeah.
And I think this game kind of embraces that. And the DLC in particular is like all about dealing with grief. And so like, I think it's a good, like, it works for me because I like to have like something that's like a metaphorical like basis for like what, what I'm going through at the time, or even just like what's hard. But it also it's a game that I could just sit and play when things like when I didn't want to focus on other things.
Yeah.
It didn't require too much of my active mind. I could just kind of rely on just the idle cycles in my brain.
And I think just having that escape. I mean, I think it's interesting, like all three of the games that we picked are kind of, big boxes to go live in a way, which certainly a lot of modern games are that way, intentionally, right? Like the idea is just, hey, like let's just have you have one game that you give us all your money and time. But particularly in this era, it was a little bit more rare. A lot of games were more arcadey, so that makes sense for sure.
Well, and we're talking about games where the plots are like there's a lot at stake, and so like it felt like there's there's probably something to that where we're talking about subject matter, like plots that really, I guess, speak to like the existential crises, or like as you're forming up as a person.
Yeah,
yeah. I feel more resilient after playing that game, I guess, is one of the things that I could say.
Yeah, that's a great point, because like I feel like, and I don't feel like it was necessarily like me like enjoying his trauma. I don't think that's it at all. But like
it's not Schadenfreude.
Yeah,
look at that little fucker over there.
Right. Mm-hmm. But like with Link and Ocarina of Time, I mean, maybe that helped me feel like my problems were more overcomable and smaller by comparison.
Yeah.
With the like epic scope of the game. I don't know if there's something to that or not.
I certainly think you could claim that, and it'd be really hard to disprove it.
Sweet. Well, then let's do that. Because that's how I work, baby. Just claiming things that nobody can tell me I'm wrong.
There really are some through lines here, though, with the games that we picked. I don't know if it's coincidence or if like the subject matter makes a difference. Like, would this have would this game or would this podcast episode ever have been Kirby's Dream Course or like Tiger Woods Golf? Like, would that have ever been the game that any of us picked? You know what I mean? Or was it always destined to kind of form up this way, do you think?
Well, because like, okay, like when Kirk suggested this as a topic, like my first thought was like, games I'm thankful for means games that I couldn't imagine my life without, right? Like I couldn't imagine the person I became is heavily informed by this game. And like, I love Neo Turf Masters. It's been we talked about it before. It's been something that I've used as a stress reliever and that has been the thing that like, hey, instead of like just doing shots of whiskey till I pass out, I'll play Neo Turf Masters and it will take the edge off my day. But if Neo Turf Masters didn't exist, I would play like Kirby's Dream Course or something else. You know, there's another game like it.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, when Kirk kind of gave us this as the prompt, it was always going to be a narrative driven game for me.
I had the same thought.
Yeah.
That's how I approached it. I don't think we really talked about how we were each picking. So that was, I don't know. Is it coincidental for you, Kirk, or do you think that you like echo that at all?
Exactly what Brent said. Like games that we can't really see, like looking back, not having played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really informed, again, like Brent said, really informed who we are now.
Yeah.
We can sit here and talk about the Halos and the hell were you guys just looking at each other about?
My stomach just growled aggressively.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I felt a little threatened, not by Benny, but by it.
Well, this gave us a chance to. We've done your Chrono Triggers and Halo and whatever, where we all have that in common. This was your chance to be like, me in specific as a person.
Yeah.
Likes this game for this reason, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah.
Where it may not warrant having an entire episode to talk about it, because I mean, some of us probably never played it, or we didn't have that specific attachment to it.
Well, and I think we're talking about that attachment right now too, as opposed to like the game, because I could have brought Chrono Trigger to this conversation.
And you're welcome to.
Well, but I didn't want to, and for the same reason that I think Brent's attachment to Ocarina of Time is more specific to this episode than like when we do an episode on Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Because I think it's inevitable that we're going to end up covering that one at some point.
Yeah.
But in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think the difference for me between this episode and like doing sorry, like I really wanted to be like, I mean, like not to be like too inside baseball with like how we structure this shit, but like the difference between if we did an Ocarina of Time episode is I would feel the need to like talk about the graphics, talk about the gameplay, and it's like I riffed for 10 minutes on what it meant to me and why, and talked about my biography rather than talking about the game as such. Yeah. Kirk talked about Final Fantasy VIII for 10 minutes, but he didn't really talk about Final Fantasy VIII that much. He talked about how it affected him.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that's more...
I could sit here and bitch about the stupid names they have in the game all day and the weird, well, good and bad music, but we didn't do that.
Yeah. I like the... Going back now to like if like I agree with you. I think we'll eventually do an Ocarina episode, and like when we do, I will talk about how the combat system and the controls are horribly dated and terribly restrictive to where like if you're targeting, then it's always a one-on-one fight, whereas if you're not targeting, you can just get mobbed and shit like that. That's like, but that's not important for this moment. If I was trying to talk about the game objectively, I would talk about it in a much different way. And like, I'm sure that's the same way with you with Borderlands too. Like this isn't a chance to like separate your emotional attachment for the game from the game itself.
I was lucky enough to have had that opportunity with Chrono Trigger during that recording. That's why I didn't bring it to this. Pretty much got that out at that point. Because, we spent
I was going to say, if any of the three of us didn't get to say what we wanted to say about Chrono Trigger over the course of 5 hours, although that said, I love that game. I would go back and talk about it for more, not right now, but at some point. Like Link's Awakening, like we could do another 3-4 hours on that.
I still would really like to go back and discuss a lot of the philosophical implications of that game.
I think we need to do we're
probably not done with Chrono Trigger either, in the sense that probably going to talk about Sea of Stars at some point. It's just in the zeitgeist. It's just out there.
I really like Sea of Stars, man. It's really good. It's really good. I haven't finished it yet, but I need to. It's really good.
So, I think it's funny that we kind of all agreed on a framework without really talking about it.
Without agreeing on a framework, yeah.
I think the word thankful, was really the trigger word for our approach.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and I think I think one of the reasons the podcast works is because we're all it's the three-piece Venn diagram, and there's an awful lot of middle in terms of how we think about things, so that a lot of stuff goes unsaid. But now we're having a whole little mini-sode about how the podcast works. But Benny, to get back to you, do you have anything else you want to talk about with Borderlands 2?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I've said it, and I feel like I'm just gonna repeat at that point.
That's okay.
I feel like there's a sensibility to this that I'm not communicating, but I think I've done an adequate job saying that it's one of the ones that, like I already said, it's one of the ones that I go to. It's one of my go-tos.
Yep.
And it specifically, I can notate in my memory that I'm thankful that it was there at the time that it was. Yeah. Maybe there would have been something else, but maybe nothing that was quite right in the same way that it was right at the time.
Hell yeah. So I love that. That's great. Kirk, you got anything else you want to add?
Do you guys like crunchy or soft taco shells?
I'm soft taco all the way.
Mostly soft for me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, so this is a little bit different kind of episode, a little bit, more, I guess, personal. Let us know if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Come shout at us on Discord or leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify. Yeah, I'm curious to see, do you fan, speaking to you directly, do you like more of these more personal episodes where we talk more about our thoughts on the game and how it makes us feel?
Or do you want to see Brent's penis and want to subscribe to his own OnlyFans?
Yeah, that does cost money. Sorry, that doesn't come free with the podcast.
Well, because alternatively, at this point, if you don't like anything we're doing, our next best guess is Kirk juggling chainsaws, and that's really a one-time episode.
Dude, I forgot that in Streets of Rage, there's the guy who juggles axes and fucking torches. Yeah, and I was like, and I'm such a fucking dad now that I swear to Christ, my first thought was, that's not safe. That is extremely unsafe, sir. Even if you are a very talented juggler, you will hurt yourself.
You're concerned about safety out on the streets
of rage. Okay, anyway. All right. God, we're so lame. You like how I included you guys on that? I didn't just say I'm lame. I'm like, yeah, fucking as a group. Okay. Anyway,
we've established empirically that that's the case.
We used a slide rule.
I'm not going to let you measure my lameness again, Brent.
It did get a little sticky last time. Okay. I feel like now's the time to exit this episode.
You dismount before it's too late.
I feel like the time to do it gracefully has passed, but that's fine. Like I say, if you like what we're doing, check us out, YouTube, Spotify. I'm going to be doing a Streets of Rage Let's Play here in the next couple days. So if you guys would like to tune in and watch that, that would be excellent. And yeah, let us know what you thought about a little bit different format here.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving happy.
Bye. Benny, what's your pick? Sorry, hang on. That's gonna cut together so badly. Hang on. Let me ask you with a normal tone of voice, because it's gonna go straight from I had no friends, I was lonely and unloved to Betty. What the fuck's your pick, man?
Hey, we're back.
JJ and the Pig.